celebrating the storytellers who widen our horizons. Authors on the Air.
It's sweeping. It covers 40 years, 3 continents, past life, 1560 France, gods, goddesses, sex. It's wild.
Tori Eldridge is a rare spirit who always leaves everyone she meets in a better place. Her Lily Wong series created a woman steeped in family tradition and inspired by life experience to become a heroine we can all learn from and love. Now comes a groundbreaking departure from that series that reviewer F. Paul Wilson calls a stunningly original novel that breaks new ground with every shocking turn. Lee Murray calls Dance Among the Flames a cultural triumph, and the influential Cemetery Dance says the story elevates Tori to a new level that will enthrall, exquisitely opening the mind and expanding the limits of what's expected from an epic thriller. Her last Authors on the Air visit held the record for the most watched episode in this series' history. As we welcome Tori Eldridge back to the program, I think you'll quickly see why.
Here's the interesting thing. So, the Lily Wong thrillers, they were published first. The Ninja Daughter, The Ninja's Blade, The Ninja Betrayed. They came first before Dance Among the Flames. But before any of that came short stories. The first short story was the one that inspired The Ninja Daughter. But after that came a bunch of short stories that were anthologies for horror and dark fiction and dark fantasy and literary fiction. So those things were out there, and I was already part of those communities, right? And while all this was happening, I was working on the precursor to Dance Among the Flames, because as I said, this is the book that set me on my writing journey. It all was inspired by a screenplay I wrote in the 1990s that ended up getting a semifinals nod from the Academy Nicole Fellowship, and everybody who read it said, yeah, but the prose, you should be writing novel. And I did. I wrote a novel, but I wasn't ready to do the publishing business. I wasn't interested at that time. Put it away for like 13 years. 13 years, raised my sons, got a 5th degree black belt, and ninja martial arts, did all these things. But I just had to write again, pulled it back up. And so there it was, and it was as fascinating to me at that time as it was when it began. And it became the project on which I learned my craft. So linearly speaking, that should have been my debut novel. But I got to tell you, I think the gods were looking out for me, because this book is a lot. It's a lot. It's a big book. It would have been a big book to handle as a debut author, not only to write it in a way to do it justice, but to own it in the world. So I think it all worked out for the best.
Without giving away spoilers, give us a synopsis of Dance Among the Flames.
Ooh. Well, okay. So Serafina Olegario, her son is Carlinhos, and his daughter is Adriana. I love saying that name. She was named for a friend of mine who I knew in Malibu, California, who was from Rio. And back in the 90s, she was my son's preschool teacher, and she was my insider connection when I was doing research. Back then, research was in libraries, not on the internet. And I had this personal connection. I went to Rio with her. And so I named the character after her. So that's Adriana. And Adriana, there's her husband, Giancarlo. He's an interesting character to write, boy. I'll tell you. He's something. And then there's the gods. There's Eshu. Eshu is the Eshu of the crossroads, the immortal trickster, the master of chaos, the master of magic. He's quite amazing. He's an amazing god. And then there's the goddesses Yanza and Yemanja and Pombagira, and all sorts of people, and fun friends like Carmen. Oh, I love her from the slums. She's delightful.
The stage on which you tell this story is truly one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Oh my gosh, the settings are just so delicious in this. Serafina comes from the Tainjeros Inlet, which is just outside of Sao Salvador, Brazil. And so it opens, with her taking this bus that brought her up to the Pelourinho district, which was so colorful and rich in history and just really quite enthralling. And then later in the book, there are other locations in Bahia, Brazil, and the book ends up moving into Rio de Janeiro. And I mentioned before that I was able to go to Rio with a friend of mine. And so I had the author dream of being able to see a vibrant city from the point of view of locals and of the point of view of being a tourist, which was so important since my characters are both. And so I was able to see so many amazing things in Rio, to go up the Corcovado and see the Christ Redeemer, to write about the astounding New Year's Eve celebrations and Carnival and Copacabana and Ipanema and all these amazing places. It was really, really fun to write and lose myself in these locations.
Dance Among the Flames is a departure from Lily Wong. How have your early readers been reacting to the story?
My early readers, it's so interesting because my early readers are all sorts of readers. Some of them love dark fiction, some of them are horror, some of them are straight up mystery thriller readers. They're all over the place, in age and gender, and it's pretty wild to see them all respond so powerfully to this, from all these different perspectives. So what do I think? Serafina, certainly, she's a very attractive, vibrant character. There's a powerful feminism about her, an extraordinary drive for power and protection, and she's quite captivating as a character, and the situations that she rises above. As I mentioned before, the book does look at some real serious issues in society today, all around the world, not just in Brazil. And so I think that has a lot of resonance. I think Brazil as a culture, as a country, as such a rich heritage and these religions is intriguing and intoxicating and fascinating and empowering. And I think that makes a big difference. And I don't know. And interestingly enough, the last quarter of it is as action-packed thriller as anything I've ever written before. So it's just big and out there. And
so it's launch day and the book tour continues.
I'm going to immediately hop on a plane and go to Scottsdale, Arizona for the Poison Pen. And soon after that, I'm going to drive down to San Diego to Mysterious Galaxy. Then I'm going to hop on a plane to New York for Thriller Fest and come back via Chapel Hill, North Carolina for Flyleaf Books. And in between there, I have virtual events with Murder by the Books and Book Soup. And, I'm probably forgetting. And then you are flying all the way to Sacramento to be with me for a bookstore event at Face in a Book. And that will be with Capital Crimes, our beloved Sisters in Crime Sacramento chapter. So, tons of stuff. It's going to be fun. You got to celebrate. It's so important to celebrate.
Dance Among the Flames launches today from Tori Eldridge. As Tori noted, she and I will be together in Sacramento, California, the weekend of June 17th. We hope if you're in the area, you'll come and see us in person. I'm Terry Shepard for Authors on the Air, and I'll see you in the next chapter.